Hey everyone, it's been a minute since my last video, but let's talk about a potential trade between the Nashville Predators and Toronto Maple Leafs. Less than 2 weeks away from the deadline, so I'll be making a lot of trade videos for a lot of different teams, but this has kind of popped up the last few days and tying to Alexander Carrier, who I'm about to talk about. Toronto Maple Leafs, I've seen Edmonton Oilers, I've seen Boston Bruins, I've seen a few teams around Carrier, but specifically Chris Johnson talked about Alexander Carrier being a low-cost option for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, we've talked about like these higher draft picks for more known names like a Chris Tanev or Noah Hanifin or go down the list. But Carrier, I mean, he's cost-effective. Yeah, he's a pending UFA, but $2.5 million. He's a right-shot guy that can play the penalty kill. And also, when I look at Carrier, I just feel like you could probably bring him back at not too expensive. Like I feel like in around that 2 to 3 range if he works out and he's a right-shot guy. But I think that's kind of what he is. He's kind of like a fringe top 4 guy. And I think the fact that he's a right shot brings a little bit more value. So I'm not as high on him as a target, but I think it's like cost versus player. I'm not really trying to give him a first round pick for a rental and Chris Tanev. So if Carrier could be like mid to low picks, with which I think that's what Brad Treliving's offering, I think that makes sense. So we can look at some potential trades. And also big shout out to Sportsnet. Fan 590, JD Bunkus, they talked about it there. And yeah, I think overall, I think this is probably what makes most sense in terms of just now and the future. Like if you can come out of this deadline, make a couple additions to your bottom 6 and your defense core while not really giving up the first round pick, Minton, those kind of guys, I think it's a W for Treliving, especially if what we're seeing now from the Leafs coming into back to their homestand. They're coming off a 7-game win streak. I mean, they're buzzing right now. They just had a perfect road trip. So I think what you're seeing from Tyler Bertuzzi, you're seeing from Domi, you're seeing it on the defense step up. Brody and Liljegren now working as a pair. Brody specifically on the left side. I really just think you need that guy for Riley. So this is the trade that I came up with, and I think it makes sense for both teams. So Nashville gets a 3rd and 4th round pick. Maybe you have to throw in like 2/3 to get this deal done, but Toronto gets Carrier, McCarron, and Trenin. So Michael McCarron, huge. McCarron's actually listed as 6'6". I was saying 6'4", 6'5". I mean, McCarron's 6'6", so he's actually huge to verify that. And Yakov Trenin, I mean, I'll say this about Trenin. He's got, I think, one less goal than Calle Jarnkrok, pending UFA. I think he's about, between Jarnkrok and Trenin, they're about $400,000 separated on the cap. So I think this makes sense for Nashville because you get a younger version in Gregor and Control, he's a pending RFA. You get Calle Jarnkrok, who used to be a Pred, and he's under contract, and I think Nashville would value that, especially at only a $2.1 million cap hit. And Connor Timmins, I think he's still got some potential, young enough where they're trading Carrier, who I believe is a couple years older, and you bring back Connor Timmins, again, cost control that only had a $1.1 million cap hit for another year, and you get a 3rd and 4th round pick. So I think Nashville could actually like this. Maybe they'd want an additional prospect or pick in this, but I think the structure of the deal, the Leafs getting players they want. Carrier and Trenin right now play on the penalty kill for the Preds, so you bring in that if you're Toronto. And Michael McCarron's 6'6". Again, taller than I expected, at least in terms of hockey database, but I mean, these are the kind of guys you want for the Leafs. Bottom 6 guys in McCarron and Trenin. You're moving Gregor and Jarnkrok in the process because, I mean, if this recent stretch proved anything, you don't necessarily need those guys. I mean, Jarnkrok, I actually like Jarnkrok in a role next to David Kampf. I think they work well off of each other, but I think you're getting a lot more physical and with an edge in that playoff style with Trenin and McCarron. Jarnkrok, the last couple years in the playoffs, guys, I mean, I like what Jarnkrok brings in this season. I think in terms of a $2.1 million cap hit, he's got 10 goals in less games. So I like Jarnkrok as that fit, but I think coming off the books for Trenin, creating that cap flexibility for Treliving in the offseason also makes sense. So Nashville is good with the contract. I think Toronto could use the space in the offseason, and Trenin's a better fit, I think, right now for the 4th line. So this is just another trade to add to it. The Leafs getting a couple draft picks back if they trade some picks. Maybe swapping with Carolina for a goalie upgrade for them. Martin Jones has definitely had a better year than Antti Ranta, and the Leafs can just have Antti Ranta buried in the Marlies and be their 3rd goalie option. So something like that I could see going down as well. There's other deals out there from fans I've seen, just getting Trenin in a swap with Gregor, throw out a couple picks. I don't know if you're Toronto, do you have to give up that much? I mean, I'd have to look at Gregor's stats, but Trenin has 9 goals in the year. I'm pretty sure Gregor, if I could guess, has like 4 or 5. So obviously Trenin's played better in a 4th line role. Gregor's got 5 goals for 11 assists, I believe. Trenin's got like 9 goals for 19 points. So I see the upgrade. I don't know if you have to give up that much, but and then the big deal for Rasmus Andersson, I'm sure the Leafs will talk to Calgary, and maybe they still do acquire Tanev, but I don't know about Tanev with all these other teams competing against Toronto, whether it's Tampa, Dallas, Edmonton, like go down the list. So this could be another realistic package. Maybe you swap Fabro for Carrier and you just acquire Carrier and Trennan, and it's like a draft pick and 2/3 going the other way. I honestly, versus my proposal, I could see something like this more realistically, where it's like 2 into Nashville, Toronto gets Trennan and Carrier or Trennan and Fabro. Maybe it's Ty Voigt and Connor Timmins going to Nashville in the deal. So something like this is also possible. But I mean, give me your thoughts, guys. I think there's a lot of potential trades out there, but ultimately, I think this is the more low-cost option where you're not giving up the first-round pick, you're not giving up one of your top prospects, you're giving up a couple middle draft picks, but you're also getting the good value back. That I would just say it's a good fit. I mean, McCarron, like I said, the size, and then you're getting 2 penalty killers in Trennan and Carrier, and automatically Carrier has the chance to play with Morgan Rielly, which, I mean, Rielly's been playing with guys like Lajoie and Legason the last few games, and honestly, Rielly and Legason weren't too bad, but you could not have Rielly and Brody back this season, I believe. Brody's much better on the left side, clear as day right now. I think for a while there, he had the flexibility to play on the right, but you can see he's more comfortable on the left, so therefore, you just got to get the right shot. Luke Schenn hasn't looked amazing with Nashville, but I mean, he's also an option that if Trey Living wanted that fit back, hey, I won't complain if they reunite Rielly and Schenn. I know the cap hit in term is tough. 2 more years after this year at 2.75 for Schenn, and he's getting older, but I just think the fit with him and Rielly was too perfect. So that's the option too, but I think more realistically, Trey Living might look at Carrier. But look out for Boston for Carrier. That would be my dark horse for Carrier. And I wonder if Edmonton's talking to Nashville as well, more specifically because they made a big deal once upon a time in recent memory with Ekholm. So thank you guys for watching the video. I'll make more videos like this, but I just wanted to kind of get a video flowing for this week, and you'll see a lot more content from now to the deadline. So subscribe, like, comment, notification bell. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.